So welcome back everyone. Very good afternoon. Thanks for joining this call. So today we are going to talk about S3 simple storage service. In last session we covered about the other kind of file storages. We saw about EBS block volume and EFS elastic file storage, and we saw about you know instance storage, all those things we saw. So today we will be seeing about S3 buckets, widely popular. It's like for any files storage as a cost effective and cheaper solution. AWS provides the S3 bucket. It is similar to what you see in Google. You have Google Drive, right? So what it is similar to that. Okay, let's get started. So I have slides, but that is little outdated because there are few more improvements and additions to the service. So we'll straight away go to the S3 web page, and then we will see that. Hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm in the AWS S3 page. You can see this is 5 GB of S3 standard storage free for 12 months. So if you are creating a new account for 12 months, you get this 5 GB free in the AWS free tier. So this is scale storage resources to meet fluctuating needs with 99.9999. I mean 11 nines data durability, which means that there is no chance, or very little chance that you will not get your object, whatever you are storing there. So in S3 it is all objects. Whatever you store is called an object. Any file that you store, it's called as an object. So you can store data across Amazon S3 storage classes. There are different storage classes because each even though you are storing there, it's cost effective, cheaper, but there is cost associated with it, right? So they have multiple storage classes with the different tiers of cost. So if you want it immediate, you have a immediate, if you want to have your objects immediately retrieved. If you want to you don't know what is the frequency with which you will access your objects. Those are all, there are different storage classes they are providing, and we will see them one by one. Um, and in addition to that, before we go into those storage classes, with respect to S3, there will be two types of cost that you will incur. One is for keeping the data, one is for accessing the data. So if you are storing say 5 GB of data, you will be charged for keeping the 5 GB of data there in the S3 bucket, and you will also be charged for accessing the data every time. So you give a API request to get a file or put a file. All these things are charged, but we will see the pricing. They are all very minimal compared to other file operations, other services. uh, in a month you will not get more than $3-4 depending on what you are using. Okay. Then protect your data with unmatched security. So S3 provides a lot of security guardrails attached to your objects. There are a lot of ways you can protect your data. Many different services AWS is actually giving to ensure always you can keep checking your data, that it is not compromised, or any data that you have uh, will be automatically analyzed, and you will be given information regarding how you can improve the security of your data and all. And it is all managed by AWS, so you don't have anything to manage as a server or anything. It is fully managed by AWS. So how it works? So you can put any data that is analytics data or log files or any application data, anything that comes, anything you call it a file, any whatever may be the size of it, you can just simply put it into AWS S3, and that will be stored as an object. So that is called a bucket. You can create multiple buckets in your S3 service, and each bucket is like a folder from where you can access. Within a bucket, you can create multiple folders, and you can put your data. So once that is available in your bucket, you can control that data with access control. You can optimize the cost by switching between different storage classes, and you can replicate your data across regions. Though it is actually is not specific to a region, you can, from any region you can access it. S3 is not region specific, but you can go into any region, and you will be able to access your S3 buckets. But it is actually stored in one region. You can replicate it to any regions. You can also access your S3 bucket from your on-premise. On-premise in the sense, let's say you have a data center where it is not AWS, it is on-premise. It is you are maintaining your servers, uh, and it is just connected to AWS through a VPC, through a connector. So you have both cloud, and you have your on-premise data. So S3 can be accessed even from on-premise, not only AWS VPC. It can be accessed from your data center itself through the connectors. So that is so you don't have to worry that since I keep my data in S3, will I be able to access that in the servers that are running in my local office? So they have connections for that as well. And protect and secure your data, that is, as I said, a lot of uh, security measures are there. Gain visibility into your storage. There are a lot of services that can run in the background and provide visibility about your provide summary about your data that is stored, so that you can analyze. And this data can be used for many can be integrated with all the services of the AWS for any different purposes like analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, anything. All things can go through can go to S3 bucket, and from there you can use it for other services. Okay, some of the use cases is mentioned here. So you can build data lakes, you can back up and restore critical data, you can archive data at the lowest cost. Say for example, you have some data, 100 GB of data. You want to have it, but you are not going to use it. Once in a year you will use it. So you can still use you can put it in S3 bucket, but you can select storage class that is of lowest cost, and put it, so that you don't incur too much cost of keeping data just idle on S3 bucket. And you can run cloud native applications. So any since it is all in cloud, whatever you build in cloud, you can easily integrate with that, and you can serve your applications. Okay, let's I will show how how you can create a bucket in the actual AWS console. Okay, so in AWS S3, if you go, you will see buckets, and from there you can click a button that will get you to this create bucket thing. So you can just give a name to your bucket. It can be anything. So I'm going to give my demo bucket, and you can choose configurations from other existing buckets, but we will not. ACLs is like it is access control list. So there are two ways of controlling. All objects in this bucket are owned by this account. Access to this bucket and its objects specified using only policies. So this is a recommended way. ACL disabled means the object owner will have the control over it. If you give ACL enabled, then object in this bucket can be owned by other AWS accounts. So this is actually useful in terms of let's say one company is managing the AWS cloud for their client. The client will have their own AWS account, but whatever the management of those buckets and all will be done by the servicing company, right? So servicing company will have their own AWS account. So the clients buckets can be managed by another account, which is the service company's account, if we enable ACL. Otherwise, you will not be able to manage that. So you will have to, you will have to disable this ACL. Sorry, enable this ACL if you want to access different accounts buckets. If you don't want to give that and you want to make sure only the owner of this bucket is going to have all the access, then you should have this ACLs disabled. Okay. And by default, public access will be blocked. You can see here, this is checked, which means that public access is blocked. When I say public access is blocked, so when you upload something into this bucket, it will have a URL. So that is called, the object link. So if you disable this, and this bucket becomes public. When this bucket becomes public, anybody with that URL will be able to access those links and download that data. So there are situations where you will have to keep your bucket public. For example, if you are serving a lot of applications with your data, but all of them needs to be publicly available data, which is or images or anything that you don't want to put any restriction. Just with a link, people can access that. So in those cases, you will make it public. All other cases, you will not make it public. So by default, it will be set to public, blocked. Uh, uh, you can disable it, and that bucket will become public. Okay. So there are four further restrictions. Even if you do that, you can say block public access to the bucket object standard through new ACL. This is further drill down security things. Will not go into that. And your buckets can have version, which means that every object that you put in the bucket can be version managed. So if you disable it, whatever object you are putting in that will not have any version. It will just stay as it is. But if you enable it, every time you upload with the same name, it is going to create a version of that, so that your files, let's say you are every day you are going to upload the same file with some minimal changes, right? So what's going to happen is the same file will get repeated, and you will have access to all the versions by enabling the bucket versioning. So even though you are uploading every day, uh, you are replacing the same file. S3 will maintain the copy of the previous version, so that you can retrieve it at any time. So that is bucket versioning. I'll keep it disabled. And you can add some tags. Tags are to manage, to for you to manage your resources effectively. For example, any resource I create for a development environment, I will put a tag as the, environment is equal to dev. If I put that, I can identify, okay, this is the S3 bucket I created for a development environment. There may be another EC2 instance where I have created for development environment. I'll put the same tag there. Lambda function I may have created for development environment. I'll just do the same thing. So end of the day, if I want to see all the resources available in dev environment, I can just run some queries that will say, okay, get me all the resources that have a key as environment and value as dev. It will list all those specific resources. So this is the S3 bucket with this tag. This is the EC2 instance with this tag. This is the EBS volume with this tag, and so on. Okay. Yeah. And finally, all your objects that you are putting in the S3 bucket will be encrypted automatically. So there are different types of encryptions. This is the default one, which is server-side encryption with AWS S3 managed keys. So you don't have to modify this. S3 will manage encrypting your data and keeping it. So if you don't select it, I mean, you can also, if you are going to provide or if you want to manage the keys separately, you can choose this. There is a key management service available. It's a separate service in AWS. So instead of S3 giving a default key, you can choose your key, or you can create a key from this key management store and use it for encryption. There is one more thing like dual layer server side encryption with again key management. So or you can also choose your own. You can have your keys and you can upload that to KMS and you can choose from there, or you can let AWS choose its key. So for now, we will keep it simple. That will be this thing. Okay. Bucket key, using S3 bucket key reduces encryption cost by lowering calls to AWS KMS. S3 bucket keys aren't supported for this thing. So what they are saying is, if you keep this enabled, the key is applied at the bucket level. So by default, every object is encrypted. You don't have to separately encrypt, which reduces the cost for encryption, right? So there will be no cost. Only the bucket is encrypted, hence all your objects are encrypted. So, but if you disable it, then you will have to, uh, you will incur cost for every object that will be encrypted within your bucket. So let's keep it enabled. There are some advanced settings which we don't want to. I mean, yeah, there is one. Object lock. So object lock is something that if you select enabled, then it will prevent automatic. It will prevent deletion of your files. So this object will be locked. Nobody can accidentally delete your file. So for that, I think it works only in version bucket. So you have to create. You have to enable versioning to use the object lock. So for now, we will disable it. So that's all. We will create a bucket. Did you miss anything? Okay. It has to be unique. Okay, this bucket name has to be universe is a universal name. So anybody who has selected a name before like this, you will not get that name. So you have to be very specific, or you have to put some, you know, PC group or whatever is unique. Let's we have to give that name, unique name. This is also available. Let's put this
The error seems like a invalid character.
character. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Okay. This is the bucket I created. So you can see there is no objects, right? So you can manually upload files, or you can programmatically upload. Programmatically in the sense, usually in applications we will be using programmatic way only. So we can go ahead and actually we can create folders here. So folders, even though it is called folder, right, it is not going to create any folder like you have your folders in your operating system. In you can create folders in your D drive, C drive and all, right. It is actually a alias name, you can say, but it is actually not going to create any folder. What it is going to do is it is going to create a path. Let's say demo1 is my folder name. Okay, so if I do this, so it's going to say my demo bucket slash demo1 will be the folder, and I will create the folder. So this folder is created, and within that you can still further create another folder. Let's say level 1 is what I'm creating. So you can see here, this is a bucket. These are the folders. So demo1 level 1. So there is no way actually, if we upload a file here, it is going. Let's upload a file. and you can click there, and you can add files, or you can add folder, or you can drag and drop files. So let's see if I can drag and drop any file. I will upload one of the AWS documents I have presented. Okay, I have this is the file I have uploaded. So let me upload it. It's uploading. It's uploaded and it's available here. And you see, okay, if we click and go inside, so this is an object, and these are the details about that object. You see the object URL here. This is the URL with which this object can be accessed. So you can see the key here. The key says demo 1 level 1 and the name. So this is how it is available as an object. And this demo 1 level 1, even though it is called a folder here, there is no folder created. It is just the name is like this, demo 1 slash level 1 slash this thing. It is just like a prefix, right? It is not creating any folders. Why I'm insisting that is, you cannot delete or upload objects saying, okay, I will delete anything that is in level 1. That kind of deletion will not work. So you will have to specify each and every object with its name to delete or update it. Okay, it is just for user convenience. They are saying it as folders, but it is not actual folder. Okay, you can see some data about it, who's the owner, which region it is, and what is the resource name. In ARN is Amazon resource name. So within a Amazon service, if you want to access this, you can use this ARN. Outside that, this is the link. So if I click on this link, what is going to happen? Let's see, this is access denied because nobody can access it. It is already encrypted, so you will not be able to access it. So how can I access it? Again, so you will have to use services that will have access to this bucket, have roles that already can access this bucket, provide permission for those roles to access this bucket, and then only you will be able to access it. Otherwise, if you made it public, made the bucket public, then you will be able to, if you click on it, it will be accessible. So that is the difference. Any questions until this point? And you can set
Um,
up permission. Sorry, go ahead.
uh, uh, can we delete the level one folder completely, or let's say I have multiple files in level one, and can I delete that level one completely, irrespective of I don't want to go for single files and delete?
You can do that. Okay, so the services like the Moto 3 for AWS, the SDKs actually provide you that feature, but it is not going to delete as a folder. Okay, so it is going to execute the delete statement one by one in the background. So you will not see that. AWS will be deleting. What it will do is, when you will not specify that this level 1 folder, what you will specify is a prefix. You will say, this is my bucket name, this is my prefix, demo 1 slash level 1 is my prefix, and delete everything in that prefix. So what it is going to do is, it is going to first take a list of all objects with this prefix. If I have 10 objects, it will get this using this prefix, it will get all the 10 objects. Then it is going to delete one by one. So that is what it is. But for you, you can just specify. You don't have to retrieve everything by yourself and delete. You can just specify, this is the bucket name, this is the key prefix. With this prefix, whatever is available, delete it. It will delete.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So we can actually, you know, provide object level permissioning. So there is, this bucket has bucket owner enforced setting applied to this object ownership. So we cannot do anything at the object level. We can do it at the bucket level. And you can see the versioning. So this is a version is enabled. I don't know. So yes, version is enabled, so there is a version created for this. Okay, and let's go to the bucket again. In the bucket, you can see there are many different things. You have properties, permission, metrics, management, and access points. Let's see what is in the properties. So this objects is where all your objects are available. Okay. This properties is about the bucket properties. So you whatever you have set earlier, bucket versioning, so it is enabled. Tags, whatever we have given, encryption, whatever we have given. Tiring, we will come to the tiring shortly. Okay. Logs, whether you want to put your access logs somewhere. Currently it is disabled, but if you enable it, what is going to happen is whatever access you are doing on your objects, that will be recorded as a log in CloudWatch, so that you can do that, you can monitor that later. Cloud Trail is another service for API interactions. Whatever API that is coming to this bucket, that will be logged. And this is important, event notifications, right? So if anything happens on your bucket, you want to trigger anything further, right? So you can choose this event notification, you can set up event notifications from here. So let's see what we can do here. We can select, you can say, and some event. My event is somebody uploading png files, right? Png file upload. So if somebody uploads PNG file to this for this bucket with a prefix, let's say my prefix was demo1/level1. In this particular folder, if somebody is uploading a PNG file, so I will say what is the suffix. You can just say prefix and suffix. You will not be able to give any wildcard or anything. It is not possible. You cannot give filters like, okay, select only these objects satisfying this condition. All those things are not possible. You can specify a prefix for an object and a suffix for an object, or one of them. Okay, so I'm here specifying both prefix and suffix, which means that any object that is coming into this folder, and that is only restricted to PNG files, okay, will you know go through this event notification. And what is the event type, whether you want to uh, you know this is all create events, put, post, copy, multi-part upload. Multi-part upload means if a document is too high, more than 5 GB, you cannot put it upfront. You should use something called multi-part upload, which is like it will split the file part by part and upload to the bucket. So once all the parts are completed, this event will be triggered. Okay, or you can do that during your object removal, or you can do that during object restore or whatever. So usually we do it during create events, because that is when we want to trigger something. Okay. And there are multiple things that you can choose. Let's We have selected create. So during if you are creating some object, automatically we are saying, okay, you can trigger a lambda function, or you can trigger a SNS notification or SQS notification. We have not seen all this, but remember, this is a function that can serverless function that can be executed after a PNG file is uploaded. What can be the function? It can be anything. It can be like sending an email to somebody, or it can be like resizing the image whatever uploaded. So you have uploaded a PNG file. Let's say it is 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. You can have a requirement to reduce it to 25 pixels. Every image uploaded will create a thumbnail, which we have in our application. So that is the lambda functions. So it will automatically trigger a function that will do something on that image. Okay. So if you say lambda function, then you have to choose which lambda function you want to. If you should have already created that lambda function, and that is what you can choose here. Okay. So you will have a lot. I mean, you will create that and come here and set it up. So once you do that, what's going to happen is, the moment an object comes into this folder, it will trigger that lambda function that will execute. You may set up something for as an output of the lambda function. Again, probably it may come back and put it into another folder, like thumbnail folder of the same image. So that's how This is event trigger architecture works. So with the S3, you can do all these things. Just putting the file, you can do a lot of things automatically. Okay. Any questions until this point? Okay. So where in the properties, even notification we have seen, there are other things which are not very important, but the static website hosting is important. So this is, if this is enabled, this bucket will act like a static website. You can actually put a website content here with all your JavaScript, CSS, HTML content here, and you can choose, you can make it a, if you enable it, it will ask you, okay, so what do you want to do with this? I want to host a static website here. Okay, so it will host a static website or redirect request for an object, which it's redirecting. Let's not do that. So if we do host a static website, you have to tell what is your starting point. So in your for bucket, you should have that particular file. It's saying index.html as a pre-filled value. So if you have index.html, that will be the starting point for your static website. So you can create anything, but you can also have other names also. You can give a folder path also. What everything is possible. And error HTML. What if something happens? It has to land. So you can provide a error document and just save it. So once you upload those data there, this particular bucket will act like a static website, and you will have a website name, which will be like S3 or something of that sort. But anybody can access that from the outside world, even though this is a not a public one. Since you are making it static website, it will be available. Whatever you put in this folder will be a static website. This is one important thing that S3 buckets can do. Just putting files into that is going to make that available as a website. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. So then there is permissions. So as I said, you can provision permissioning here. Public access is blocked. You can provision bucket policy. You can set bucket policy here. What is bucket policy? You can set policies like who can access this bucket, who should not access this bucket, what are the conditions that somebody can access this bucket. All these things you can put it as a JSON policy statement here, and that will be obeyed. Object ownership. So the ownership is enforced for the owner here, so which we already saw. ACL, we have not enabled ACL, so this is bucket owner is only having this. If we enable the ACL, then you will see who is authenticated to access this. Another account, right? Anyone with a AWS account, some other account can be here. And cross origin resource sharing. So this is also very important when you are uh, exposing content from this S3 bucket through um, any other means, like you are giving a pre-signed URL. uh, uh, who can access, which websites can access this files. So you can set course origins here. So if you set it like if you are dealing with the front end web application and all, you will know this is very important. Without this, every time if you try to access some assets from a different domain, you will not be allowed to get it. That is called cross origin resource sharing. You have to set something here saying that okay, this website can access data from this bucket, or these IP addresses can access, or anybody can access. So that is something as a policy you will set here, which you will find, if you read through the documentation, you will find more details on that. So just understand that this is also there. Okay. So this is permissioning. Metrics, as I said, logs will be there. Management is like you can do life cycle management and all. I will come to that in a while. We will see the storage classes and how this. Okay. So any questions until this point on the S3 buckets? Okay, so features, there are a lot of features which we'll do later. We will see the storage classes. Okay, so you can see there are so many storage classes mentioned here. S3 standard, intelligent tiering, express one zone, standard, IA means infrequent access. Don't worry about all these names. Just have three things in mind. One is standard. Okay, that is a normal general purpose thing, you can say. You put your object, you get your object, you pay for what you are using. That is standard. Okay, so there is something called IA. IA means infrequent access. So some of the objects you are going to use are infrequently accessed. You are not going to frequently access it. So you don't want to pay what you pay for normal things. You want to pay a little lesser, but have the same retrieval or latency, same latency, same throughput, and everything. So they provide something called infrequent access block, another tier they are giving you with the same thing, but they will store it in a different place where you will not do frequent access. You want to further reduce your cost. So by default, they store all the objects into three different availability zones, at least three availability zones to make it available. To satisfy that 11.9 availability or durability. You don't want that. You are fine with having it in one zone. You don't want to replicate that in multiple places so that you can reduce some cost. So there they are giving you one zone access. Okay, so this is further you want to you have some data that you will not access for years, right? So but you want to still have it and you want to retrieve it when you need it. You are fine if it takes time to retrieve it, right? Even if it takes an hour or so, you are fine. You don't need it immediately. Once in a year probably you will get it for audit logs and all. So in that cases they are providing something called glacier. Okay, these are the four uh, main types. Within that they have so many things. Okay, so as I said, standard, one zone, infrequent, glacier, four major types. There is something called intelligent tiering, which is like you don't know where your object fits. You don't know whether you are going to frequently access. You don't know whether it is you are going to access it once in a year or so. You can choose intelligent tiering. What it will do is it will be monitoring the user access of that objects, and automatically it will put it into the different tiers. It will move it. Anything that is not accessed for 30 days or so, it will move it to infrequent access, so that that object automatically reduces your cost, and when it is needed to retrieve. So that is intelligent tiering. So you can use intelligent tiering if you don't know where your objects are, where to put your objects. And there is they have introduced this express one zone. So one zone we know, to reduce cost, we are putting in one zone. But S3 express one zone is, if you want to have immediately, even faster than the normal standard one, express retrieval. So it may be little more costlier than that, but since it is one zone, you are reducing the cost. So it will be balanced. So S3 express one zone is kind of we'll see what it is. So it will have high performance storage and consistent single digit millisecond request latency. So not only millisecond, even millisecond, it is not 10 milliseconds, right? It's not going to take even 10 milliseconds. It's between 1 and 9. So fast you will get your request responded. Okay, improve access speed by 10 times and reduce cost by 50 times compared to normal S3. And select AWS availability zone. You can choose your availability zone. You can actually put it in a location where your other services are available. Like your EC2 instances is in Ohio, you can select availability zone in Ohio and uh, put it so that it will be faster. The latency will between your EC2 instance and your bucket will be even faster, right? So that helps accelerating analytics and machine learning workloads because you will have faster retrievals and scale to handle millions of requests, optimized all this stuff for good. So that is express one zone. And even in okay, and you are going to be infrequent and you want to keep it in one zone, so then it further reduces from one zone reduces the cost, infrequent again reduces the cost, putting together that further reduces the cost. So that's why they are giving S3 one zone infrequent. So in Glacier, as I said, it is like archival. Glacier is for archival, but even in Glacier, if you want instant retrieval, they have something, right? So there'll be a little more cost in attached to it, but it will give you instant retrieval. So it's all combination of things, right? So you put it in a cold storage, but still you provide a service that can instantly retrieve it. Another one is called flexible retrieval. So this is kind of you put it, but you will get it within few minutes or so. Okay, it is not instant, it is not too deep, it is in between. So it's a flexible thing, so you can retrieve it whenever you need it. It is not instant, but you will get it. Okay, so that is Glacier flexible retrieval. Deep archive is like it is going to, retrieval time is within 12 hours, can be up to from 1 hour to 12 hour. This is only for data that you are not going to access anytime or frequently, only once in a year or so you will access it. But even to access that, you know when you need it, so that you can give the request upfront, one day before to retrieve it, so that the next day you can use it. So but they will be very 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 cheap, right? So that is the S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Another one they are giving is Outpost. Outpost is nothing but you have your on-premise environment of AWS. It is not in the cloud. It is available in your servers. That is on post. So they provide service called on post. So your S3 data can be kept in linked with your on post environment. AWS S3 output delivers object storage to your on-premise AWS Outpost environment. Using the S3 APIs and features available in the AWS region today, S3 and Onpost make it easier to store and retrieve data on your outpost as well as secure the data. So you get the flexibility of storing your data in your server, and also you are getting the security aspects, the ease of accessing the data, everything using the S3 API and S3 security features. So it is like having your S3 built in your local servers, right? So that is called S3 Outpost. So these are all the different ways you can store your data, and what things they provide. So if you see the comparison performance across the storage classes, they have given a chart here. So use cases, which use cases for which: standard for general purpose, intelligent for automatic cost saving, express on zone is high performance storage, standard IAs infrequent access data needs millisecond access. One zone IA, okay, one zone. If since you are putting in one zone, make sure you are putting data that can be recreated. Okay, so you have some other source from which you can recreate, because always one zone. If that zone goes down, you don't have the data, right? So you will not be able to replicate. You if you can recreate it, then put that in the one zone. Glacier is long-lived data that is accessed a few times per year with instant retrieval. So you are going to access it only a few times, but instant retrieval. What is the difference? Since it is instant, why should I go for Glacier? Why should I not go to standard? Glacier gives you lesser cost, okay, but instant. But when you put in Glacier, you will have retrieval cost. When you put in standard, you will not have retrieval cost. So you will put things only that you are not going to frequently access in Glacier, so that you can save the cost, right? So, but here, since it is going to be instant retrieval, the retrieval cost may be little high. Okay, and flexible retrieval, same thing. And durability for everything they are saying 11 nines. Availability 99.99 percent of time. And see, this is 99.99. This is 99. You don't have to remember these numbers. This is of nothing, no use. Okay, just 99% or 99.99. Availability SLA. I don't know what is SLA also. You don't have to remember. See the availability zones. Everything except the one zone, right? This is one zone is greater than or equal to 3. It is all your data. So one data, one object that you are putting is going to be replicated in at least more than 3 availability zones, so that you have it from somewhere. But one zone, it is put only in one zone. Minimum storage duration. This is one criteria. So for general purpose standard, you don't have any criteria. You can put now, delete now. You are not going to incur any cost. I mean, you are just going to incur the cost for the storage of that particular millisecond. Same with respect to intelligent tiring. But when it comes to other things, you have a minimal storage time. So even if you put a object now and delete it immediately, you are going to pay it for 1 hour. Same thing for, this I think, yeah, infrequent access 30 days, glacier 90 days. Okay, so only things that are going to long live, put it in the infrequent and glacier. Retrieval charges. So the standard ones and the this thing, intelligent airing, express one zone, the standard, these things don't have any retrieval cost. But if you go, beyond that, infrequent, glacier, you have, GB per GB retrieved. So what is the cost? They have not given here. That will be in pricing. Okay. Life cycle management or transition, like, you can move from one to the other. That is possible in all these things, but only in express you don't have, because express, it has to be in one place so that it can be express, right? You cannot move it to infrequent and call it express. So that's what the storage classes are. Any questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to pricing. There should be some. Okay, there is no. Here it is. Okay, we will see some of this. Okay, you can see in standard, you can see that put, copy, post, and list. These are all write operations, and list is not a write, but it's a list of items. So all write operations with a list. This is $0.005, which means that it is zero point 0.5 cents per thousand requests, right? So if you are writing 1,000 objects, you are going to incur 5.5 cents, which is kind of 4 rupees or 4.5 rupees. Uh, at the same time, get and select, if because get will be the most important thing, right? You will put the object once. If it is accessed by million people, then each person will have a get request sent. So each, for 1,000 requests, you have 0.004. You can count, you can assume, if million people are requesting one object, how much you will pay. You can calculate that. And life cycle transitioning, in intelligent tiering, you have some cost. That is why it is going to manage intelligently, moving around different categories. You are not going to pay for that. You are just going to pay for the transition, life cycle transition. So for 1,000 requests, I mean, if 1,000 times your object is moved, then you are going to incur 1 cent. Okay, infrequent and all these are not applicable. um, Archive access expedited. If you have archived and you want to expedite that, that is instant retrieval and all, then you will have $10 per 1,000 requests and so on. You don't have to remember all this again. It's just a comparison to give a flavor of what will be, how we are seeing the cost with the different tires here. Okay. You can go through this at your leisure, see how it is. Okay. Pricing. Any question on the pricing?
Yeah, let's say I had given one zone access and I placed a file and I keep it for a long time and the let's say the duration is 90 days or something like that. So and if I change it to instant mode, so the 90 days period I not completed. Let's say I by 45th day I wanted to transition. I want to change the location. The storage class I need to change. So how the pricing will be calculated now?
Yeah, you will be paying for the minimum cost, which is 90 days. So
Oh,
if you have kept it for 90 days, how much you will pay? You will be paying that, even if you are removing it on the first day. Okay,
okay.
so you
Hmm.
will pay for that, and then from after you move it, the new payment
Instance
structure
new
will.
stress.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay. Any other questions? Good question. Okay. I don't know. Further questions. We'll go to the security part quickly. The different ways AWS provides you security. These are some of the securities, as we have seen bucket, public access. So this is a security feature where you can disable all the blocking your public access. That is the first security. Then you can put object locks so that accidental deletes will not happen. You can give object ownership, like ACLs enabled or disabled. That is one way. Identity access management, so you can give policies saying that only this particular role can access this bucket, only this particular user can access this bucket. That kind of thing can be given through identity access management. And there is a service called Macy. Okay, so Macy is kind of let's see, discover and protect sensitive data at scale. What it is going to do is, if you enable Macy, then it is going to go through all the objects stored in your S3 bucket, and it is going to identify if there is any personal identifiable information, PII or PHI, or HIPAA, compliant information, GDPR compliant regulation. So all these things it is going to match and see if any of your data is going to have that information, or uh, going to be incompliant or something of that sort, and give you a report. So with that, you can take further steps. So that's a separate service they provide, called Amazon Macy, and again you are going to pay for that service. Encryption is another one. So we have seen different ways of encryption. You can choose AWS key, automatic key, or you can create your own key. You can manage the key through KMS and all. You can encrypt at the bucket level, so that you don't have to encrypt each object. So that is another security. There's something called another service called Trusted Advisor. So this Trusted Advisor is this is kind of not only for S3, for any service. It is going to do some audits and come back and give you some recommendations. Trusted Advisor inspects your AWS environment and then makes recommendations when opportunities exist. Probably it will say like, you have a EC2 instance that is running always at 80% or so it is better to auto scale. That will be one recommendation. S3 bucket, it can say there is too much of failures happening in this bucket. So you have to probably add some security features on that. There's a lot of things that this trusted advisor will check and give you recommendations. And private link is like, access S3 directly as a private link endpoint within secure AWS network. So it is not as a public link. You can give it as a private link, with which from one particular VPC you can access it as a, you know uh, it will not go through internet. That is the point. So you have a VPC where your EC2 instance is running. You have S3 bucket. S3 is not in your VPC, right? That is internet. Even though you are calling from your EC2, which is an AWS service, S3, which is an AWS service, you are not within the AWS environment. You are going to the internet. fetching that and giving it. But you can enable private links. So when you enable private links, AWS will keep the data transfer within its AWS network and not outside. So that is called private link. Okay. And there is some feature for data integrity verification. So there is some algorithms, checksum algorithms available where you can uh, verify your data integrity, like uploads and downloads whether they are same. A lot of things are available. So these are all different security features available on S3 when you are using S3 bucket. So I think this is all the features of it. The storage classes, that's the main thing. It can be used as a static website. You can trigger events. You can manage the security of these objects, all these things. And the mainly the storage classes security, these are the main things that will be asked in the exam for S3. So I think we have covered all. Definitely this is not enough. You will have to go through things or at your pace to understand, grasp whatever we have told now, to be confident. Okay. Yeah. So I think we are on top of that. So that's all I had for today. Thank you guys. Any questions, shoot out a ping me, or you can call me, ask in next session also. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.